Do you think that you're easily triggered? Has someone else told you that you're easily triggered? Well, today I want to share with you a few simple tips on how to make it so that people can't get a rise out of you so easily, whether it's something that's evident in the moment or just something bubbling up inside after the fact. First of all, hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm Ann Blackwood, your Silicon Valley Sage Sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. Secondly, I have some notes here with me because, well, I wanna do this one that way. I don't know. I wanted to say right, but right's not right because I there's nothing right or wrong about it. I have some notes because I don't want to try to memorize this all. So I'm just being honest. All right. So, first of all, self-awareness. Self-awareness is monumental to life in general. If you want your life to be, as I say, kinder and simpler, happier and healthier. So being able to, at any given moment in time, just stop and take an internal check of what's going on. Am I breathing more heavily? Is my heart rate up? Things like that. What thoughts are popping up in your head? How are you feeling? That first and foremost, just being able to stop and have that moment at any moment is the most important thing. Whether you feel like you're being triggered or however you want to put it, upset, angry, triggered. If you're experiencing moments in your life where those moments are taking away from your internal peace, being able to just stop and recognize that is something that sounds easier. Well, maybe not easier, but it sounds more simple than, it sounds more obvious even than people realize. Like, when you're in the moment, being able to stop and pull yourself out of the moment, even for a moment, is something that people spend years practicing. But just being able to have that moment of awareness, I am here now, practicing that is first and foremost what needs to happen. Because if you can't do that, then I shouldn't say none of the other things matter, but they're only going to help a little bit. If you can do this, then they're going to help tremendously. So that's where meditation comes in. And I try to remind people of this all the time. All meditation is taking that deep breath and recentering yourself into the present moment. And then whatever you do for meditation from there can vary. But what all meditation has in common is taking that moment to stop and actually think. Being able to actually stop and control your mind. Thinking consciously rather than on autopilot or habitually. So once you allow yourself to take that moment of that internal check, how am I feeling right now? Just being able to do that will pull you away from the moment for long enough to be able to start making more conscious decisions rather than running on that autopilot that you were prior in that moment of feeling upset or triggered. From there, you want to take an external check. What's going on here? What about this bothers me? And you can do this in the moment. You know, people think that we have to have these fiery, rapid conversations with people when we're upset. But the more powerful stance to take than being able to be like quick and witty and, you know, on top of it, the more powerful stance to take than that is actually taking that deep breath and being silent for a moment to actually think about what's going on. Because the more information you can give yourself about the situation, the more information you have about yourself prior to this, the better you will handle any situation. From there, you're going to either recognize that you can either have a conversation about it because you're in a state to do so, or you're going to want to remove yourself from the situation. These are the two things that are going to happen from there, because you're either going to be able to slow yourself down enough to get curious and ask questions, or if you're not, removing yourself from the situation until you can is fair. You never have to, in a moment where you're feeling upset, angered, or triggered. I shouldn't say never. There is rarely a time where you're feeling upset, angry, or triggered, where if you're just so heated, if you're just so upset that you can't handle it, that it's not acceptable to step away. Even if it needs to be handled right then, you can at least take a moment to step away from the person or the situation, take a breath, allow yourself to calm down out of the immediate moment, and then step back in. Again, this is that meditative moment of, I am bringing myself back to a loving place, because I like to talk about a neutral place, but there is, when it comes to your inner peace, there is no neutral place. You are either doing something and it's supporting love, or you're doing something and it's supporting fear. So in this case, I am bringing myself back to this place of love, of stillness, so that you can have that moment of taking that deep breath, even if you can't do it in the moment. You've had that moment of awareness where I'm not feeling good for whatever reason. And then if you can't slow yourself down enough in the presence of whatever it is to think, then just remove yourself. Just remove yourself from the situation to calm down and think. From there, whether you are still actively engaging or not, these are some tips I have for anyone who feels upset or triggered at any time. First of all, acknowledging your view or perspective is not the only one. Not even the only one within you. Not only is it not the only perspective, but it's not the only perspective within you. And it's going to be rare, very rare, that you find you hold a firm stance, period, end of story, on anything, unless you've actually given yourself some time to actually build up your own belief system. And once you've done that, then you recognize that you're actually more open-minded. The only people who absolutely think that they have a firm stance on anything, are the people who have taken other people's belief systems on and not having their own at all, really. Because the more we find, and I'm constantly going back to this Dunning-Kruger effect, where the more ignorant someone is, the more uneducated someone is, the more confident they'll be. And then you come down. The more you start learning, the more you lack confidence, up to a certain point where it swings back up. But the people who are the most confident, those people are actually the ones who know the least. So if you're standing there going, this is the only way, I want you to take a check in with yourself. I want you to take a moment to check in with yourself, to ask yourself why you feel that way. Because you probably feel that way because you have very little information about the situation, about the topic, whatever it may be. Because the more we learn, the more we become on the fence about anything. This is just how it is. So, if you're having a hard time doing this, if you think that on either side of the the span of reality, your polarity is the right polarity, try walking in their shoes. You can do this. You can ask yourself, how is the opposite of this right? And not just that, but how am I like that? And it might not be like one for one. Exactly. But you know, if in the moment you're feeling like, oh, this person is so stubborn, ask yourself, how am I stubborn? You know? Oh, I feel like this person just doesn't know anything about what they're talking about. How do you not know what you're talking about? How could you be better informed? And again, it might not be one for one. It might be that in this case, you are really knowledgeable about what you're talking about, but in other areas, you're not. How can you put yourself in the other person's shoes? Because you can. Even if in the end you step away still not agreeing with it, you can, for a moment, put yourself in the other person's shoes and at least try to relate to where they're coming from. You can do it. I believe in you. Your brain is capable of coming up with more scenarios than just the one that you're confident in the moment. And then again, come up with more opposing scenarios. The more possibilities, the less you will feel stuck in that moment. Learning to find positive things to focus on rather than the negatives, you know, because that's how we get ourselves in this position in the first place of feeling triggered or upset by something, is because we're focusing on the negative. So how can I come up with positive things in this situation? This gets us out of a lot in life, really. Like if you think about it, I again, this is another tip that I bring up in many different scenarios. You're focusing on the negative. What's positive about this? You can come up with something. Again, I believe in you. I know you are smart enough. I know you are capable enough to come up with some positive scenarios. The more we can start relying on ourselves because we have become an internal source of information rather than relying on external sources for information, the more confident we can become in these situations. Learning to be able to find the positives rather than focusing on the negatives. We as people have become just so reliant on other people for things, including our views on things, including our belief system. And we can do better. We can do better. It's how I start the one course that I do have, because after doing that one course, as much as I love it, I realized I was meant to still be doing one-on-one work more than creating courses. The first, well, I shouldn't say the first thing, but the course itself is learning to start taking that internal focus and start recognizing what is yours, what is actually yours, and what is other things that you've taken on from other people. And we start to realize really quickly that most of our belief systems, they're not ours. They're things that we have taken on because other people have told us they're so, when we have zero reason to believe that's the case, because we've done zero research on it. We just trusted someone else. And I'm not saying we shouldn't trust other people, especially people who are close to us, but if you're gonna live your life, like, a belief is a powerful thing. A belief is not only a thought you keep thinking, but it's a thought that, like, habitually and on autopilot dictates how you live your life. So this is why it's so important to live your life based on your own belief systems and not having, like, a million other people's piggybacked baggage belief systems dictate your life. Like, truly and honestly, like, it is the worst thing you can do for yourself to live your life based on just something else that somebody else has told you that you have done zero actual thinking about, let alone researching. Would never recommend it. If you are going to allow yourself to have a thought dictate your life, wouldn't you want to make sure you've really thought about it? I know I would. So I want to encourage everybody to take some time. I'm not saying, become a hermit and only live by yourself, but take some time away from external influences and start really digging into what you believe. Again, my course, the Intuitive Lifestyle course on Patreon, is really great for this. It's available to Ascending, Sanctuary, and Enlightening tier members. So, and the Ascending tier starts at $23 a month. So, and most coaches, teachers, they charge thousands of dollars for a course like this. But I want everybody to have access to this. So, at a minimum, hundreds of dollars for a course like this. I did break it down into less modules this last time. So I've taken it from round 2, which was a little more psychological and practical and a little less spiritual, to round 3. It has 3 less modules, and is a little more spiritually based. Both are available on my Patreon for Ascending, Sanctuary, and Enlightening tier members. But even if you want to just do it on your own, ask yourself, what do I believe? What do I believe? Why do I believe it? Who told me this? And just start from there. So, I want you to ask yourself, when you find yourself upset by something out in the world, especially when it comes to others. Anytime you could apply the word triggered. I want you to ask yourself, what's going on here? Why do I feel this way? And what am I doing in these moments? And how could I be handling myself differently to create constructive or more positive results than destructive ones? Because when we get triggered, we often lash out at others when they don't deserve it. We often shut down. You know, that's why my Sanctuary of the Awakened videos have their own special ending, which is be brave, stay sane, stay curious, and be kind to each other. Because when we allow ourselves to believe that we know everything and are always 100% right, without question, we get ourselves into a lot of trouble. And we not just hurt ourselves, we hurt others. And for no other reason than we're feeling insecure. And that insecurity, more often than not, comes from a lack of education, which creates an inflated confidence. So, to go over this, when you're feeling triggered, take an internal check. Take that moment of self-awareness to recognize, I am feeling triggered. I am feeling upset. Take an external check. What about this bothers me? And then assess whether or not you are in a place to get curious and ask questions, or if you need to remove yourself from the situation. And if you can do these three things at a minimum, you will find yourself less and less triggered by things every day. And then from there, if you can start to assess your belief systems, anytime you have a feeling of, I'm certain about this, anytime you notice something, a belief dictating an action, because any actions we have a belief behind them. So anytime you notice yourself feeling really confident about something in the face of adversity, ask yourself, where is this coming from? What belief am I acting based on? And then really break it down for yourself. Where did this come from? Why do I believe it? Who told it to me? And why should I believe them? And if you can do that, then more and more you will be less and less triggered. Because the more we actually have a solid foundation for our beliefs, the less other people's beliefs, even when they contradict ours, become upsetting. Because you have a foundation of trust within yourself that your beliefs actually come from somewhere integral. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me for another video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Like button stuff, links in the description stuff. And if you're really ready to step into the space of spiritual awakening, if you're ready to, as I say, heal, grow, and expand your consciousness, I want to help you do that. And you can do that one of two ways. Work with me. You can either, if you're enjoying the things I'm offering here, you can go check out Patreon, where I have 4 tiers, membership tiers, the lowest of which is just $11.11 a month. The highest is $130, I believe, a month. 132 a month, and that includes a once a month session with me. So Patreon, if you're ready, but you're not quite ready to take that deep dive into the one-on-one, Patreon is a great way to start getting any of my self-study courses, mini courses, guided meditations, journal exercises, one-off videos. And if you're really ready, then there are a bunch of links in the description to connect with me one-on-one, about working with me one-on-one. I will be retiring my free clarity call once these last spots I have open are filled. So if you have been thinking about doing a free clarity call with me, definitely get that in now before it expires, retires. And yeah, may the energies you serve you well. And let's keep making our way through. I am. So I know you can too.